A veterinarian friend of mine in Virginia called me back in February of '99 because it literally changed my life. Told me about these products. I was frankly a little hesitant to believe him. And he was mainly told me about what he was doing in his practice. It was a small animal practice. I got to thinking, now he wouldn't be making this stuff up. He wouldn't tell that sort of thing to me if they weren't true. So frankly, I finally ordered some product. I tried it in my practice. I would treat my patients. My clients would look at me and say, well, gee, would this work on me? I would say, this is a human product, by the way, that I'm using on your animal. And frankly, that's how I kind of got started on the human side. These individuals would try product, they'd have success, and it just kind of mushroomed. These individuals have told other people who have called me, or they themselves have gotten involved in using these products. And so, it's been extremely rewarding.
And he called me and told me a little bit about this unique product. And, I've always been looking for answers to problems, and I thought this was one of the answers. And so he kind of spoon-fed me some information, tried to educate me a little bit in areas that in veterinary school were not given this information, and it all made sense to me. And that was in 2000, and been using this type of product in my practice ever since. It's interesting that when we have a positive response in the patient, they will say, well, do they make this for humans? And I say, well, this came from the human side. And I reassure them that it's safe because we tested this in humans before we used it on animals, which is the reverse of what most things done as far as research. They usually test on animals and then go to people.
And it was just a mere week later, I had another case, and we went through the same scenario, and he helped me get started with the proper protocol, and we had success again. And at this point I said, I need to know what you know. And over a period of months, he helped educate me in background information on the immunotherapy product line. And it wasn't long after that somehow, after 28 years in practice, I suddenly was doing cattle research for Raymaker's Nutrition and immunotherapy. And it's been a new pathway in my life.
But the history of the total package really goes back to 1982, when I started to do electrolyte probiotic combinations for endurance horses. That product I used for any just stress situations, because it had just good nutritional properties. Then in the year 2000, I was introduced to transfer factor, I should say. And that's the compound, one of the drivers of this product. And I'd always used probiotics, electrolytes, and a certain amount of yeast cell wall glucans. That gave me an opportunity to do a lot of research, lay patents in place, really build a good wall of science and patents. I would say the Glutrasol product is the number one product in my arsenal. They are a complement to Western medicine. My goal is to make Western medicine better. We raise all boats. That's what Glutrasol does. We've probably done 500,000 head of cattle, if not 1 million, and probably 250,000 pigs, 100,000 birds, fish farms, all species, well over 1 million. And so we have anecdotal information, very solid anecdotal information in all areas. The best way to give a value on that is to say, I just did 50,000 head of animals, and the normal illness rate would be 22%. I dropped it to 2%. That's the type of research I do. I'll start with one of the more high-profile studies that I did on infertility with Glutrasol. This would have been bucking bulls, where an egg is worth $4,000. Semen's worth $27,000 for an ampule. I remember taking one of the top bucking bulls in the country and the mother, and where she had 4 eggs usually. We bumped that. The owner called me and he said, you just about doubled these eggs on this cow. And he said last year she threw $1 million bull. That caught my attention, because then one of my colleagues, Dr. McClung, was doing work with one of the high-profile operations in Ohio where they were flushing eggs, and he shared data with me where where a normal cow would flush, say, 8 to 12 eggs, and these are valuable, and then they go into a carrier cow, or they're graded. We would get 8 to 9 under the product, giving it what we put in the cedar to synchronize the animal, and then we administer it when we give them follicle stimulating hormone. We were just about tripling the numbers on these of the eggs, and usually 10 to 20% of grade 1s is very good. We were running as high as 70-80% grade 1s. And we see this now to the point we got a patent on fertility in the ruminant, the cattle. And I'm convinced that has a lot to do. You know, our ultimate goal here is help the human population to be a healthier creature.